Hi guys, today we're talking about using teleconverters on the Nikon 200 to 400mm f4 version 2. This video is for people that own this lens or are looking to buy this lens and are concerned with having enough focal reach. Now typically teleconverters don't usually work too well on zoom lenses with a few exceptions, but you do run into the usual problems with of course having less light, and then your autofocus capabilities are reduced, but most importantly I think you lose out on image quality and sharpness. So among all of the teleconverters that Nikon has to offer, the only one that I would recommend using on this lens is the 1.4 times. The 1.7, which I have here, and the 2 times, there's just way too much image degradation and you're not going to get very many keeper shots. You might get the odd one here and there if you have perfect lighting, perfect backgrounds, but overall the only one that I would recommend is the 1.4. Wildlife photographer Brad Hill says that if you are going to use the 1.4 on this lens, then you should stop down to at least f8. He says he gets his best results stopping down to f10 or f11. And another issue that he ran into is that the autofocus can be a little bit finicky, so at times he would have to override the autofocus manually to get good sharpness. If you do decide to use this combination, you're going to have a focal reach of 560 millimeters on a full frame body and an effective range of 840 millimeters on a crop sensor body. Now I'm going to show you guys some sample images I took of some ducks in a pond using the 1.7 times teleconverter, and right away I knew something was off. Even just by looking at the back of the LCD screen I could tell that there's something wonky going on. So let's take a look. Here we have a male northern shoveler in a pond. I've got my 1.7 on. And this picture, it's not that bad actually. There's not a whole lot going on in the background. There's not a whole lot of distracting looking things. And this one's even cropped in a little bit, so the quality is still quite decent, I would say. Here we have a pair of ducks, and in the background you can see all the grass and reeds, and you can see that everything looks kind of soft. It's not sharp, it's almost hazy looking, and it's just not quite right. Then when we crop in, by no means is this a heavy crop, but you can see that the detail isn't very good. The focus was fine, it's just a matter of it not being very sharp. Here I've taken the teleconverter off, taken a picture of a lone duck, and you can see in the background the grass and the reeds and everything. It doesn't have that haze, it's much more natural looking here. Looks much better, I think. When cropping in without the teleconverter, you can see that there's still a fair amount of detail, and everything about it just looks much better. When we compare the two side by side, the image on the right is the one without the teleconverter, and it's a much heavier crop, and I would argue that you could pull much more detail out of that one than on the left. And you also don't have kind of the weird glowing artifacts in the background that are very distracting. I guess my overall recommendation would be that if you absolutely have to use a teleconverter, only use the 1.4 times, and if you can get away without using one at all, I would say that's probably your best option. Use the lens by itself on a full frame, or if you want a bit more reach, use it on a crop body like the new D500 or the D7200, and you'll get 1.5 times increase in your focal reach. Or if you're using it on a full frame like the D810, you'll be able to crop in a long ways and still get very usable images. So I hope this helps, guys. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you next time.